So I want to chat about today, basically going out and signing your first agency client, and what I believe anyway is the best way to do it, because there's obviously, SMMA is one of the most popular kind of topics on like business, YouTube, money, Twitter, and there's a lot of different advice. And there's a lot of people giving the same advice as well. A lot of the time is just regurgitated info. But one of the things that I struggled with in the beginning was the most common advice, just for whatever reason, didn't work for me. I didn't really like it. So I kind of found my own way to go and get clients. And I'm not saying I'm like the only person that got clients this way, but in the beginning, I did do it a little differently to what most people are doing. And I feel like most people aren't going to agree with what I say in this video. But, the whole point, I'm just going to share what helped me. So if you're watching this and, I don't know, you've been doing outreach for 2-3 months, you haven't signed a client, maybe even longer than that, right? And you're frustrated and you're pissed off and you're looking around at everyone else in all your different, coaching programs or on Instagram or on YouTube, and you're like, how are these people getting these clients? And, I've been doing the work and not getting rewarded for it. Maybe this will help you out. Hopefully it will. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about is the volume game, because what a lot of these friggin' people do who teach people how to build an agency is they'll just be like, volume, send 1,000 cold emails a day. You'll say, I'm struggling to get clients. And they'll be like, well, how many DMs did you send yesterday? And you'll say 5. And they'll be like, you need to 10x it. You need to do 50, do 100, blah, 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 right? And I understand the concept behind it, but I don't agree with it. Because, fucking hell, the standard of cold DMs that are sent today are so bad. The standard of cold emails that are sent today are so bad that if you send 1,000 of them, 10,000 of them, you ain't going to get a client, right? So if you're doing something and it sucks, then doing more of that thing isn't going to get you results, right? Or at least it's not going to get you results over the long term, right? You might luckily get a client. So that's why I think a lot of the time the volume game is BS, because I thought that in the beginning as well. I was spending my entire day in the beginning when I was trying to sign clients, sending emails. For some parts, I wasn't even using a cold email tool, which is stupid, but which is why I maybe have I'm biased against sending loads of cold emails, but I've used Instantly, I've used Lemlist and stuff like that. And you don't the answer to your problems isn't just doing more volume with the same thing. Let me just tell you that, right? If it's working, then yes, the answer to get more clients is probably to send more. But if your campaigns suck or your DMs suck or they're not getting you results, and they weren't for me in the beginning, just turning up the volume just wasn't the answer for me. Plus, I fucking hated it. I didn't enjoy it. I can't believe people build cold email agencies or cold outreach agencies and do that 24/7, because I fucking hate that work. Again, some people don't mind it. I hated it. I didn't enjoy it. I built a marketing agency so I could do what I call proper marketing, which is advertising, copywriting, email marketing. I didn't build an agency to send cold emails and cold DMs every day or manage someone to do it for me. I really thought the whole model sucked. So that's why I tried to do something a little bit different. And, hopefully this will help you guys who will maybe have the same beliefs that I did or struggling like I was. And when I say the first way, you're not going to like it, okay? But this is genuinely, I actually got referred, luckily, my first client, okay? I'm going to be totally honest with you. But the next set of clients that I got for the next probably 6+ months were all through this one way, right? And it was I've got notes on my screen, so I just want to make sure I'm hitting all the points. So one of the best ways is Upwork. Now, I know some of you watching this will be like, fuck Upwork, Sam. Isn't that for cheap freelancers? Isn't that where you're going to get low quality clients, etc., etc.? And my answer is kind of, right? I'm going to be honest. You're not going to sign these huge, massive whale companies clients where you have all this off. And also you could sign those huge clients on Upwork, but you're not going to have the authority of like a regular agency client relationship. You're probably going to be more like a contractor, a freelancer, or a part-time employee. So even if you do get a huge company, because huge companies do advertise on Upwork, you're probably not going to come in and charge them like a 10K retainer plus 10% of profit, right? The dynamics are there. It's a little bit different, which I can go into. But it depends where you are in your situation. My situation, when I started trying to get clients from the agency, I just quit my job. So my income was at zero. I was living in my own house, which was like £750 a month plus bills. So I was paying like maybe like £800 to £900 a month. And I had no income, right? So like I needed fucking money. I didn't have that many I think in my bank account at that time I had maybe about £5,000-6,000. So I didn't have a lot of money. Again, a few months saved up for rent and stuff, but like obviously that doesn't last that long. So I really needed money. So I could have been like, no, I'm not going to Upwork. I'm going to go and sign, a big client and charge them $5K a month. That's great. But I just couldn't do that. I was trying to do that. I was trying to outreach to these people. For whatever reason, my outreach wasn't working. So then someone told me about Upwork. And I'm like, I'm going to give that a try. And it worked really freaking well. Signed my client within the first week or two. And we were off to the races. And it was, the thing about Upwork is that it's super freaking easy, right? And okay, maybe you're not going to be able to charge 5K a month retainers, 10K a month retainers for the clients that you get on Upwork, but you can charge them $1,000 a month, $750 a month, $1,500 a month. And guess what? For me, one of those clients would have pretty much paid for my rent and I had zero income. So getting that first client for $750 a month, $1,000 a month was really important to me. And it actually relieved a lot of stress because I had the money coming in where I could pay for my expenses. So it was like a huge deal for me. And again, did it make me rich? Obviously not. It didn't increase my lifestyle, but it reduced the stress of like having bills to pay. So if you're in a position right now where you really need some friggin' money, then I would advise going to Upwork and signing a client from there. There's literally new posts every single day from business owners raising their hand being like, hey, I need an email marketer. Hey, I need a copywriter. Hey, I need a media buyer. All I used to do at the start of each day, before I did any client work, I would log into Upwork. I would search for the last 24 hours. I can't remember exactly how the platform works, but I'd look for the last 24 hours, the posts that had been made by businesses, and I'd type in the keywords. So I'd type in Facebook advertising, media buying, funnel building, ClickFunnels, sales funnels. And I would just apply to all of those jobs. And then I'd get on with some client work. And then I'd check the replies in the afternoon and then reply to people and get on a call and stuff like that. There's no other way that I'm aware of where you can just go to a website and get like 10 to 30 to 40 new leads every single day. And these are businesses who are raising their hand being like, hey, I'm looking for someone to hire. So like a lot of the time when you're cold pitching people from email and the DMs, they're not actively in their mind thinking, oh, I really need a advertising agency or I really need an email marketer. Some will, but most aren't. So when you do cold outreach, you have to, number one, convince them that they need your service. And then number two, you need to convince them that you're the right person to fulfill on that service. With Upwork, you skip the first one. They already sold on wanting to hire someone, and most of them want to hire them immediately. So all you need to do is make sure that you are the person that they feel like is the right person for the hire. So it's half the work. And it's actually a lot less than half the work. Because again, with cold DMs, and cold email, you have to search for the company, find the contact details, outreach to them, sell them that they need the service, sell them that you are the person to fulfill on the service. Upwork, you just need to sell you that you are the right person to fulfill on the service. Getting a bit twisted with my words. But you get the point, right? It's so much easier. Now, there's a lot of competition on Upwork, but the competition is so bad. It's really, really bad, right? So it was actually very easy for me to stand out from everyone else. Like the first client that I signed from Upwork was an e-commerce brand, never done anything in e-commerce before. But I believe like the reason he hired me is because I was like a normal freaking person. And I spoke with conviction, confidence. I didn't message anything weird. Like, I was just a normal person who he felt he could trust to run his ads. Never experienced in e-commerce before. And I told him that. I didn't lie or anything like that. I told him, hey, we've done digital products before, because I had, but I've never done an e-commerce like physical product. He still hired me, right? So it was like, I in the end, like when I was doing Upwork, like I had to turn down so many people. Like pretty much, if I got them on the call with me, if I got them on a call, I knew they would probably pretty much say yes to me. Because I knew once I got in front of them and they saw who I was and they realized that I was a normal person and I was confident and I was like, seemed like a trustworthy person, I am a trustworthy person, then I knew they would hire me. And so like the biggest challenge was actually getting them to like, because they get hundreds of messages, hundreds of applications, and you'll get people like, lowballing you and doing like offering a really cheap price. So the hardest part of Upwork is getting them to reply to you and getting them on the phone. But once you're on the phone with them, it's so fucking easy. Every single time, not every single time, but I would say 50+% of the time over the year I was maybe getting clients from Upwork. If I got on the phone with them, they would hire me, or they would want to hire me. And then I made a decision, because the competition's so low. There's a lot of it, but it's so low. So again, for me, like I didn't want to send thousands of emails every day. I just wanted to log into Upwork, search for clients, get on the phone with them. I didn't even want to do that, but it's part of the job, and then get them. And again, did I make millions of dollars doing that on Upwork? No. Did I make 5K a month? Yes. Did I get up to 10K a month? Yes. Right? I didn't go much higher than that just from Upwork clients, being totally honest. And it wasn't like 10K a month instantly, right? For a few months, I was at 1K, 2K, 3K. I spent probably 6 months at around 4 or 5K. But for me, again, 5K, for a lot of people, not life-changing money. But for me, who had no job, starting his agency journey with like 5K in the bank, 5, 6K in the bank, to then be earning like 3, 4, 5K a month from my fucking laptop. I was living in Medellin, Colombia. I was traveling, set my own schedule. Obviously, I was working hard because I like to work hard, but I was going to the gym whenever I wanted. I didn't have a boss. Like, it was fucking great, right? Okay, I wasn't rich, didn't have loads of money, but I had a good life. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, this is what I've been dreaming of. I can literally live wherever I want in the world, within reason. Obviously, I wasn't making that much money, but I could live wherever I wanted in the world. I could travel, and I was just working from my laptop every day. And I was going to coffee shops, doing like the whole digital nomad thing, I suppose, even though I don't really like the term. Working from coffee shops, working from home, and just living a good life and working with decent clients, right? And then from there, I did some different strategies, but like Upwork was fucking great. I'll start talking about Upwork now. I'm rambling on about it. I'm not an ambassador for them or anything like that. But I just think it's underlooked. And again, is it a long-term solution? No. Is it going to be the only platform you use? No. Is it, for me, what I believe is the easiest way to get to like 1 to 2K a month, so you can like cover your expenses and your bills and maybe even like quit your 9 to 5 and replace your income? Abso-friggin-lutely. Abso-friggin-lutely. I had some really good clients on there. And again, they weren't paying me life-changing money, but a few of them were paying me like $1,500 a month. And I remember at one point I had like 4 or 5 of those people, right? So that was like what? Like between 5 to 10K a month from Upwork. And I was only working with like 4 or 5 clients. Again, some people will look at that with disgust and they'd be like, oh, I'm not doing any work for less than 5K a month each. Whatever. I had no money at the time. And 5K a month at the time was pretty good income for me. So, again, if you're struggling and you're desperate for cash, I'd say that is one of the best ways to go. And what actually going on Upwork actually led me to the next best way that I believe is to sign your first client, which is to do what I call strategic partnerships. So strategic partnerships is basically like where I went and created a partnership with an agency where I would fulfill on their client work. Because again, for me, a bit of context, I really loved advertising, I love marketing, I love copywriting. So I wanted to spend all of my day doing that stuff. I didn't want to spend all of my day doing sales. Because the Upwork was cool, but obviously you have to go through quite a few people, you have to message people, not that much, but like you have to take calls and stuff. But I really just wanted to spend all day doing marketing. I didn't really care about the client work. Now, my first strategic partnership is where I partnered with an agency, and every time they found a client, or every time they signed a client, they would message me and be like, hey bro, new client signed, can you start running ads for them? Absolutely. And then they pay me an extra, $750 to $1,000 a month. Or again, I did get it up to $1,500 towards the end. So every time this agency would sign a new client, I would add like an extra $1,000 a month to my income. And I didn't do anything. I didn't sign the client. I didn't outreach to them. I didn't do any sales. I never met the client, never got on a call with them. It was all just straight into my account. Obviously, I have to do the work, right? I have to do the advertising. But at that time, I wanted to do it. Like, that was my passion. That's what I really enjoyed doing. Now, Upwork led me to that because I didn't really think about it. And then, obviously, when you're searching for the jobs on Upwork, you can tell some of them are agencies, right? And they'll be like, hey, I'm looking for a freelancer to contract my work to, because obviously the whole like Iman Gadzhi thing, right? His whole course was built on like contractor arbitrage, where he was telling these agency owners, start an agency, it's the best business model, and just subcontract the work out. So there was loads of agencies on there looking for contractors. And sometimes the agencies were shitty, sometimes the agencies were brand new, where they obviously didn't have any clients yet, right? But there was some really good agencies out there who were looking for reliable workers. Reliable worker, happy, like if you sign me a client, I'm going to fulfill on the work and you just pay me a percentage of the retainer that you get for them, right? Very, very happy with that deal. And that actually allowed me to work on some really big, great clients because they weren't getting the clients from Upwork. They were doing the cold emails and the cold DMs and the sales calls, right? And they just, and every time they signed a client, they gave me the big client, which was great because it meant that I had really good case studies, a really good client roster, the stuff that I could leverage in the future as well. But this is like the lowest hanging fruit because there's so many agencies out there who are looking for contractors, whether that be media buyers, funnel builders, copywriters. The demand for those services from agencies is so much higher than the supply of good people. So again, it was very, very easy to get these deals with these agencies because most of the people that they, had interviewed or spoken to were like weird people with no experience, no social skills, couldn't communicate. So when they got on the phone with me, they were like, this guy looks pretty sound. He just wants to do the work all day. He doesn't like sales. This is the perfect relationship. And yeah, it was, again, super easy. So that was even better for me because I didn't have to do any sales calls. I did a few client check-in calls. Like I was present on some of the calls, but I would never take the call by myself. But for the most part, for some of the people that I partnered with, their clients didn't know I existed. Wasn't in Slack with them, never communicated with them. They would just communicate, the client would just communicate with the agency owner, and the agency owner would communicate with me. They didn't know I existed, but I did the work for them. And it was just super easy. And yeah, again, if you're someone like me, doesn't like sales, didn't want to spend all day doing outreach and sales calls, partnering up with those agencies was like the best decision I made because it removed sales from my life. I didn't have to do any sales. It meant I could do the work all day, which I enjoyed doing. And it meant I got to actually work with some really big clients on some really big accounts. And I was able to leverage those accounts and case studies later on in my career. So yeah, those are like, again, I'm only speaking from experience. They're the easiest and the fastest way. You can do the cold outreach route. I've done other videos where I've talked about like where you could do the work up front for them. And, if you want to get a client as like a email copywriting client, then, write them 3 to 5 emails and just give them for free. There's lots of different ways which you can get like the higher caliber clients. But I wanted to make this video for the people who are, potentially struggling, potentially like, going through all these agency courses and all these people are telling them to get instantly accounts, lemless accounts, multiple Instagram accounts, DMing people, all of this BS, which I fucking hated. And I felt honestly at the time I found the cheat code by just creating an Upwork account and literally just getting on with these business owners who were literally just asking me a few questions and I didn't need to sell them. It wasn't a sales call. They were already sold pretty much. And it was just super, super easy. Again, you're probably not going to build $1 million a month agency doing that. But if you want to get your first 1 to 5 clients, you want to make 1 to 5K a month, honestly, doing those 2 things that I just mentioned in this video are the 2 best ways to do it. So, hope that was useful for you, and I'll catch you on the next one.